Hello, Sasha. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing well.
Hey, Sasha. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Like, how old are you? What grade are you in?
I am 17 and I am a junior.
You're a junior. Hey, thank you for sharing that. So let me ask you some questions, Sasha. Can you share with me anything that comes to your mind about your culture?
I do have a few things. I feel as teens these days and years are going through a lot of unique difficulties and are getting influenced a lot by social media. For example, the first piece of technology I've gotten is a DS at the age of 7, and then a tablet, and then a phone, and so forth. I honestly can't see myself living without technology.
That is interesting, right? Thank you for sharing that. So how were you when you got your first electronics?
I was about 7.
7. So how do you come to know about this culture? How do you come to know what you know about your
Well, I just kind of grew up with it, and I slowly, as I aged, I learned more and more about the culture.
culture? Okay. If at all possible, please share with me any stereotypes that you have heard about your culture.
I do have a few stereotypes of teenagers my age, and a lot of the stereotypes is we're known as antisocial, rebellious, or even rude, or sometimes depressed.
Sometimes it cracks. Do you believe this is stereotype to be true?
I wouldn't say they're exactly true, at least not for me.
No, it's not for me. So any of these stereotypes that you listed out. Do you feed any of these stereotypes?
No, I don't feel any.
You don't.
Maybe the antisocial, but
The antisocial. Would you like to share a little bit more about this? The antisocial.
well,
What would people think that you're antisocial?
sometimes I think it's just because I like to spend my time alone rather than with people.
And why is that? Why is it that you do rather than me?
I don't know, I feel like just speaking to people could just take a lot of hard work and stresses me out a lot.
It stresses you out. So what emotions are presented when you're treated as one of these stereotypes that you just mentioned?
I would get a little upset because I feel like a lot of the stereotypes are negative, and I'm not sure I would want to be known as that.
So now that you mentioned those stereotypes are negative, are there any stereotype that you would consider to be positive that you would like to share?
I would say a positive stereotype is that a lot of teens are my age. They express themselves a lot through the fashion and the piercings they wear. I think that's very beautiful.
That's nice. Thank you for sharing that session. So, if at all possible, can you please share with me the stereotypes that you have heard or share about my culture, per se, like my age, my generation? So, I'm over, the 40s, 50s.
Yeah. I would say, well, not in you in generally, but a lot of people my age would say that, like, people older are judgmental or maybe even rude to us, or they would even say the phrase "back in my day." And I feel like they're not very fond of the idea of kids our age expressing themselves through physical forms.
Interesting. Can you share a little bit more as to like when you said like my generation were more limited to the way that we were expressing?
Yes, I would say back then they wouldn't be, I would say, I'm actually not quite sure how to explain it, but they just don't like to see kids with these piercings or maybe even tattoos that say how they feel.
Mm-hmm. interesting. So when you think about my generation, that's the first thing that comes to your mind. To your mind. Thank you, Sasha. So now I think I have some time to hear what I want to ask.
Do you believe the stereotypes to be true?
The stereotypes about your culture, especially teenagers. We see there is I want to call it a trend of people your age would rather spend time with technology or in the room playing games and socializing with their friends rather than being out there with family and doing just going out with the family. I see that. So I want to say that there is some truth behind, but I also know that we also need to be more educated in regards to the topic because the idea that you guys are more now in technology doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are also doing something wrong. But I do know that we as parents do have, as adults and parents, we do have a certain responsibility to take care of you guys and guide us in how. So do I believe that is stereotype to be true? I don't think it is completely true, but I think it is. Yeah.
What do you say about the stereotypes that I've said about your culture? Do you believe those to be true? Rude, hypocritical.
Same thing. I don't want to say that black and white, but I want to say that in the middle. I have seen some people my generation, and I want to say that we are really easy to judge younger generation. But as I was saying, I see that comes from a point of being afraid of. We didn't grow up with technology. Of course, you guys are more. Your culture is more fluent and educated with technology because technology is a part of who you guys are. You guys grow up with technology. We didn't. So I want to say that at some point we see it as a threat. Technology can be helpful, but it can also be dangerous if it is not controlled and if we're not watching our generation. So to answer your question, I do something.
What emotions are present for you when you are treated as you are that stereotype?
Thank you for asking that, Sasha. I was very curious. I was not sad or angry or maybe, in a defensive mode. I think that I was more curious to know what is your perspective about the stereotypes, stereotypes that you have in regards to my culture. So thank you for asking these questions. I really appreciate it. So now you tell me something, Sasha. From your point of view, what do you think is the biggest difference between my culture and your culture?
I feel like there's not much differences, besides the age gap but the fact that you said technology, like how we did grow up in very different time eras and technology did affect us very differently. It's because kids my age have grown with technology throughout all of our lives, and we've only had it, portions.
Actually, I was like 25 the first time that I had access to a computer. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for your understanding and sharing that. So now tell me from your point of view, what is the biggest similarity between your culture and my culture?
From what I see, I feel as if a lot of our stereotypes of us can be mostly negative. And how we're viewed as kind of like bad people. I feel like
would you consider to be a similarity that we both are judgmental to each other maybe we as an adult, we're being judgmental to a younger generation, whereas as a teenager, you guys are also judgmental
We're
to
just
yourself.
all judging each other.
That's very interesting. Thank you for sharing your opinion. So tell me, Sasha, if you were a therapist, what would you want me to do or to add to make you feel more comfortable during this therapy session?
I feel as if I don't think there is anything to make me feel more comfortable because I already am comfortable around you.
Oh, thank you. I really like that you feel comfortable around things. Okay, so maybe we can skip the other question because that was. So let's imagine that I make you uncomfortable. Have you ever been in therapy in any other place? Yeah, you have. So maybe I can ask you about that other therapist that makes you feel uncomfortable. Tell me what is it that she did that makes you feel uncomfortable?
I feel as if when I would share something, they would push to know more when I wasn't comfortable to let them.
Okay. So tell me in this situation, what is it that she could have done to make you feel comfortable?
I feel as if they should have just kept it as, well, I know I understand as a therapist they're supposed to understand the patient, but they should just have let me relax a little bit because I felt a little uncomfortable with sharing.
So you would say that you would have liked her to give you more time to open up rather than pushing you and trying to get stuff from you. Right? Thank you. Right. So that finalizes our questions because the last question was really done to me. But I see that you feel comfortable. I really appreciate you taking the time for me to finish this assignment. And is there anything else that you would like to ask before we close? Thank you. Thank you, Sasha. Have a wonderful afternoon.